Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We have an emergency upload for all of you because, yeah, markets, they're not doing so well right now. Tesla stock, to point out one stock, is down about 3%. Keep in mind, this is overnight trading. This is not 100% accurate of what we can expect to see tomorrow, but it's a pretty good indication of what could happen. Now, NASDAQ futures are down 1.5%, S&P is down almost 1%, and the Dow is down 0.5%. We do have new updates and breaking news to share with you in this video, and I'll give you my perspective, at least, in what's going on, because this sell-off in futures is two-parted. There's the Colombia-US trade war situation, I guess we can call it a trade war at this point, that's going on. And it is the AI news with DeepSeek. Now, as I said in the video earlier today, it was kind of up in the air just how much the AI news would hurt markets. What I've seen a lot of people saying on X, a lot of guys on Wall Street, a lot of hedge fund guys, they're saying this doesn't have a lot to do with the AI news that we had on Friday. Now, if you've completely checked out over the weekend and you have no idea what's going on, but you see futures that are down a lot, well, let me get you caught up to speed. On Friday, DeepSeek came out. Well, they didn't come out with it on Friday, but it kind of got popularized on Friday. Their newest chatbot, essentially, their large language model, okay? Now, DeepSeek claims that the money spent to train this model was only about $2 per GPU per hour. That only adds up to about $5.7 million. So the issue here is, with like a llama, for an example, that cost over $500 million to train, well, this cost 1% of that and is performing better than llama. That's where the issue comes in. Where is the US potentially lacking? And does that throw into question some of the AI investments that NVIDIA may see in the future, that other big tech names are going to make in the future? And is the US going to lose the AI foot race that we're currently in with China and other areas of the world? Now, that's the ceiling is caving in kind of synopsis. I don't think it's nearly as bad as we think, because let's face it, more likely than not, there's a lot of GPUs that went into training that, okay? $5 million is the training cost to actually run the GPUs to train the model, but there was a lot more behind that story, and we don't know how accurate that even is at this point. So what I've seen a lot of hedge funds and institutions talking about in the last couple of hours since futures have opened is this sell-off in the futures market probably has very little to do with the AI situation. That was my perspective as well. Before this news came out about Colombia and the US and Trump and the Colombian president, we'll get to that in just a moment, it seemed likely that markets would kind of shrug off the quote-unquote bad AI news. That is what sent NVIDIA lower about 3.5% on Friday. That sent other big tech names, other AI stocks down along with it. It's the Colombia news that is really spooking the markets, I believe, right now. And NASDAQ futures are down almost 2%. And I don't think it's necessarily Colombia is like this important country to us, economically speaking. As far as trade, obviously, there is some semi-important areas. Coffee can definitely be seen as maybe an important area. But it's what happens when other countries try to do what Colombia just did. Now, if you don't know what Colombia just did, Colombia, well, just put a tariff on us, okay? Now, if we take a look at this post before we get into all of that, it says coffee, crude oil, and cut flowers. Here are the Colombian goods you may be paying more for under Trump's tariffs. Trump said in a social media post Sunday that he would immediately impose a blanket 25% tariff on all goods coming into the US from Colombia, among other sanctions. Tariffs are paid by the importing company, but the cost is often passed on to other parties in the form of higher prices, including US consumers. Colombia accounts for 20% of coffee imports to the US, according to the Department of Agriculture, and coffee has already been sky high. I mean, if you bought like coffee futures, you've made a lot of money. Coffee has went up a lot in price. Okay, now that's part of the issue. Trump also said that tariffs would soar to 50% in 1 week. Now, Trump also says that he will impose banking and financial sanctions on Colombia. Now, what did the Colombian president do in retaliation? Well, he has ordered an increase of import tariffs on US goods after the Trump order. Okay, Colombian President Gustavo Petro on Sunday ordered an increase of import tariffs on goods from the United States in retaliation to President Trump's tariffs and sanctions. Petro, in a post on the social media platform X, said he ordered, quote, the foreign trade minister to raise import tariffs from the U.S. by 25%. Quote, American products whose price will rise within the national economy must be replaced by national production, and the government will help in this regard, the post continued. Now, what initially started this was the Colombian government did not let 2 planes carrying about 80 Colombians or so, illegals, a lot of them got in legal trouble in America, the first round to be deported. Colombia said, yeah, we're not taking them back because the U.S. cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals. A lot of them were criminals. Not all of them. Some were just guilty by association, being around the wrong person at the wrong time. Yes, that's true. But Pedro also said, quote, I deny the entry of American planes carrying Colombian migrants into our territory. So that's what started this whole tit for tat situation. Now, we do have some precedents for this, okay? Back in 2018, around Christmas time, there was a US-China trade war going on. A lot of this tit for tat kind of, stuff that we're seeing tonight with Colombia and the US, happened back then. Okay, you're going to tariff this, I'm going to tariff this. You're going to tariff that, I'm going to tariff that. Okay, it's called a trade war. Markets fell 20%, bottomed on Christmas Eve as both parties really backed off from that. Now, here's the deal. Colombia, sure, coffee is an issue. Is that the end of the world? No. It's not the end of the world for likely Colombia either. Okay. The thing that makes me not as negative is Wall Street's jumping to the conclusions tonight, I should say, that there could just be a larger trade war with other countries. Maybe it's Mexico next. Maybe it's Canada next. The big one is obviously China. That would be a huge problem. Canada, Mexico, they would also be big problems. And that, I think, is where the nervousness is coming from by investors. That is an issue. Could that create some volatility in markets? Of course. Now, it's interesting because oil is down 1.2% on this. 10-year treasury yields are down 4 basis points on this. Now, could big tech take the hit more because of the bad AI news? Maybe. It's really hard to say. And also, how does this change the calculus for the Fed this Wednesday? Because before this, we hadn't got any tariffs. The Fed, the last Fed meeting sounded like they were concerned about tariffs that could be inflationary. We haven't really got anything until tonight. Does that change maybe the otherwise dovish tone we could have gotten from the Fed Wednesday? I don't know. That's to be continued. Ultimately, I think we will brush this off. I don't think this is the start of a larger correction, unless, of course, we get Canada involved, or Mexico, or China, or someone that's more important to our trade. Obviously, again, coffee, that's gonna suck, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah, tomorrow looks like it could be a bit of a rough day, but I think it will be one of those storms that comes and goes as long as the situation does not get worse. And I do think there is room for a bit of compromise here, okay, to let level heads prevail, as long as Colombia just allows their, people, citizens, to go back into the country. That's all it's going to take. And then maybe tariffs on both sides go away. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens even in the next couple of hours, because it really all happens so fast, like literally within minutes after Colombia did not let the 2 planes come in. Like 2 hours later, Trump, makes a statement that he's going to tariff Colombia. Colombia's president, like 2 minutes later, literally says, yep, we will actually send our presidential plane to come pick those people up. And then like 5 minutes later, Trump put tariffs on Colombia. And then like an hour later, Colombia put tariffs on the US. So it all happens so fast. I would bet there's probably a compromise coming, that as long as they just take their migrants, citizens back, then we're probably not going to put tariffs on each other. Okay, who knows? Maybe that's me being a little optimistic. I would not be surprised if that happened by the morning. But I don't think a lot of this is the whole AI scare that everyone's been talking about over the weekend. I think it really has to do with what some on Wall Street will think is the start of a new trade war. But again, Colombia, that trade war only goes so far. We only do so much business with Colombia. It would be like a Mexico or a Canada, which we've kind of exchanged trade war-like statements with both of those countries so far. That would be the bigger issue. And really, it could be some of that effect where this is the first tariff put on that maybe algorithmically speaking, we're kind of programmed to hear tariff put on, that's bad. Sell stocks, deposition. Now, again, oil falling is disinflationary. 10-year treasury yields falling about 4.5 basis points, I would also argue, is a positive, right? For the economy and for obviously risk on assets in our markets. But you're offsetting that by a 2%, almost 2% drop in the NASDAQ. And again, Tesla stock has nothing to do with the drama going on between Colombia and the US. It's Tesla will be impacted. None. There will be no impact to Tesla. Tesla, from my understanding, does not do a lot of business in Colombia. They don't have factories in Colombia. There's no association, but the algorithms, they're gonna sell everything when markets sell off like this, and that's why Tesla's down 3% in overnight trading. But again, this could change, and it probably will change a lot by morning. So let me know what you guys think about this new information down below in the comment section. Have a fantastic rest of your day or night, and I will see you in the next one.